Good morning and hello. It's Friday, so that means it's time for another To Make a Game. I think I'll put some music on for this one after I get rid of this thingy. Go away overlay. It's a little quiet. Basically, I just have a selection of various game soundtracks, usually indie soundtracks, and a few OC remix songs. I'm kind of expanding this so that I have stuff that's, relatively safe to use as background music stored somewhere, versus, when I streamed a while ago, I used to listen to Pandora. I don't think that would fly these days, especially not on YouTube, thanks to all of the militant, you can't use that behavior from the sound or song holders and so on. So we'll just put this on mix and turn it down. Doesn't need to be loud. Yes, I've had actually a very productive week. This is the game project so far, and I've actually done several things. Well, two things. Three things, technically? Here, let me show you. Obviously, stuff is placeholdered, but camera is implemented. You can zoom it in, zoom it out, and I can declare how far in and out it can go. The mouse moves it around. WASD moves your character. One of the nice things in spacebar jumps, the jump physics are really rough. I haven't tweaked them any because I haven't decided exactly how I want that to work yet. The nice thing with working with Unity is things like physics and collision is kind of built into the engine, so that saves a lot of hassle trying to figure out how to get that to work. Also does slopes natively, which is kind of nice. About the only things that I can't use in Unity, it's linked to the mouse. When I actually really get further with the game, I'll lock the mouse to the cursor to the screen, which saves on a lot of weirdness like that. But the only things that I can't use are... where are they? I can't show you there because I don't remember where they are. But I can't use their good water renderer, and I can't use real-time lighting. So yeah, I mean, this works. I mean, I got the camera to do this. When it hits a object that's would obstruct it, it zooms in. It kind of clips through the object slightly. I think I will solve that by having a separate set of colliders designed for the camera. That way you don't have oddities like the camera fighting with every branch and piece of geometry that gets in the way, and you end up with all this like little nonsense. Another nice thing with Unity is, let me get my controller. Yep, full controller support. I don't know... It's a little wonky because I haven't adjusted the sensitivities. But it works. So I should be able to have mouse, keyboard, and joystick support. This is the other thing that I've been working on. These are the start of my hotspots. And currently it's Smart Targets, the one that's closest. The colors for them lighting up is just so that I have a visual indicator. But Smart Target's the one that is physically closest to the player. And I will be adding a button so that you can switch through anyone that's within range. Objects that are in range are the ones that are highlighted in blue, and the purple one is the current target. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Coding's not hard, but it is time consuming, especially since I don't really know what I'm doing in a lot of cases. It's like right here, these are the scripts that I have controlling everything. This specifically is my hotspots thing. This will contain all of the hotspot. This is the master control for the hotspots. This is attached to the player, and this will control all interaction and call stuff from the hotspots. Over here is the hotspots, which includes functions like highlighting when it's within range, turning on and off the is target effects, all of that sort of thing. It will also contain arrays and so on that are specific to a given hotspot. I kind of need to figure out how much interaction I want to give the player at this point, because that's kind of the next thing. I'm going to be working on these hotspots. This is my mouse orbit script. This one, I tried a homebrew version, something that I was working on myself, and it was working. It was actually working pretty well. But I was having some weird stuttering issues with it. So I poked around online, and I may as well show you these. These are the 3 most important sites I have found for working with Unity. First up is this guy, the Unity script reference. You get basically all the information you need about the various Unity commands and how to work them. So, like Vector 3, which you work with a lot. If you bring that up, it tells you what the variables are with a bit on what they do, and you can get example or sample pieces of code for how they work. Stuff like that. It's really, really, really essential, honestly. You kind of need this. A convenient thing is, if you don't have the site up, if you search Google for Unity and one of the commands, whatever one you need information for, the first result is almost always the Unity script reference. So that's how I've mostly been finding those. But still, this site, incredibly useful. This is another one that's really useful. Unity Answers. People ask questions like, how do I do this? Why isn't my code working? And then people can post answers, and you can get lots and lots of snippets of code and examples of how to do things that is just so helpful and saves me so much time. It's great, especially since a lot of the questions that I have are basic things that I just don't know because I'm not familiar with the calls and the commands and the structures of things. Or in some cases, like a specific algorithm. Which I was sitting there trying, this one in particular, I was sitting here trying to figure out how to find the closest thing in an array. The way I do it is a little bit different because I have my array set up a little bit differently. And I'm kind of glad because doing this here, GameObject.find objects with tag enemy is slow because it scans every single game object to find it, I believe. The tag's more efficient, but still. And that's really, really slow. If you have a lot of game objects, it can really hit your system. Instead, I have an array that's just the targets that are in range and search that. So, yeah. The searching thing supports up to 10. I can make it larger than that, but I don't think I'm going to be likely to have more than 4 or 5 hotspots within reach at any given time. Unless I set up dropping of items, in which case I can make the array larger and then just have more items supported. So that's not a big deal. Let me see here. And the other site that's really useful is the Unity Community Wiki, which has things like that. This is where I found the mouse orbit script that I ended up using because, well, it's a much simpler layout than what I was trying to do before. But if you take this and you try to use it wholesale, it's not necessarily going to work. For example, they don't smooth your zoom in and zoom out transitions. They also do not... let's see here. Where is it? This line right... this line right here is designed so that basically what it does is it does a ray cast. It draws a line from the camera to the player, and if there's an object in the way, it adjusts the camera. Because it doesn't smoothly adjust the camera, it just like pops right there, like poof, and it's really jarring and so on. You have that tends to be the way that the available code samples work. Is they do the job, but they're not particularly good. So if you want to actually have it work right, you have to edit them. I think they do that deliberately just to drive people who are just copy-pasting code nuts a little bit. I don't think I blame them, honestly. If you go through this stuff here, a lot of times people are like, that didn't work, fix it, I just want to copy-paste kind of stuff, and it's kind of annoying to see. It's like they're going through the trouble of giving you sample code. The least you can do is read it and see what they're trying to tell you. It's not supposed to be a site for just stealing code wholesale. Which is why I typically just rewrite stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's where things are going. Things I need to kind of work on. Oh yeah, another thing that I had to add was when I idle, it tracks. What is it hitting there? I'm not even sure. That's why I want to use camera-specific hitboxes, because that way you don't get weird hang-ups on things like objects on the floor and so on. But yeah, if you leave the camera, it drifts back to behind the character after about 60 seconds. Currently I have it set to a frame timer, so after 60 frames it clicks back. I should probably shift that to a physical timer using Delta Time or something like that, so that it's after a second regardless of frame rate. But it's not something that's particularly vital, it's just kind of useful. I did a lot of looking at games that handle third-person perspective cameras. And this is the setup that I kind of decided to go with. You can move forward. Backward goes straight back. Since when people play video games on the computer and they're using a WASD setup, their hand is like by default on the mouse. Using the mouse to steer is pretty natural to most gamers. So you can turn going left and right with the camera in neutral. And it works, but it's optimal if you're steering with the mouse. I need to work on the character turning. Sometimes he gets a little stuck. But that's something I'm not too worried about just yet. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with these little light up things. I'm so glad that that's working. I just got that working before I recorded this morning. The targeting math that I was using was slightly wrong, and I found better. A better method, and that's always great. Actually, that's something I've really found is if you get stumped on something, sitting there trying to force your way through it doesn't seem to work very well. Just move on to a different function. Sleep. And when you wake up, give it another shot. And usually you do significantly better in the mornings. It's almost eerie. That's one of those weird tracks from They Bleed Pixels. Let's put something good on. Love that one. Oops. Since I have this open, fun game. Not sure what to make of Dota 2. I've tried a couple of rounds. I think I prefer League. Mostly because Dota 2 just seems to really kick you in the nuts when you start messing up. And XCOM Enemy Unknown, please don't suck. Please don't suck. You come out on Tuesday, I'll be LPing my first playthrough of it or something, but please don't suck. Where's my Unity? There it is. There we go. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've been working on. What can I do with the interactions? Like, I want to have it so that, like, with the keyboard you walk up and you hit E, and some selections come up, but I'm not entirely sure how I want to do this. It's like, do I want to have the player just push E and default interact, or do I want to have like a wheel come up where you can like look, talk, and so on with the object? I'm not sure. I don't know. That's something that I'm going to have to think about. But the first thing I need to do is set up like tab targeting so that you can like flip between targets that are within range, which shouldn't be too big a deal. I mean, once you start doing that, I just if you look in the corner here, this array is the in-range objects, and I can just like pulse through this when you hit tab and select, work your way through them all. Other than that, it's just having GUI stuff telling you what it is and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say this week on this one. Not quite as long as my previous ones, I suppose. Do I have anything else? Oh, one interesting thing. I'm probably not going to do it this week, but it has... Hold on, let me stop this. Stop the game from playing. It doesn't need to be running. If I go to build and run... oh, yeah. Unity has a web player, meaning I can actually post this online so that people can actually try out the build that I'm making each week. Actually, I might do that regardless. I mean, this is a very simple stage, but still, I mean, eyes on it is good. And if you're wondering, yeah, this is obviously just a test area. There's no lighting at the edge, and if you run off the edge, you will, you know, literally run right off the edge and fall into the void, and there's no way to reset it currently, so don't do that. Wah! You will fall forever, at least until the game crashes. I'm not sure if it will crash, though. Yeah. So, goals for next time are, well, finish getting the hotspots working. And as an extension, probably work on the communication tree. Let me get my list. So, movement is at least done for the moment, and so is camera. Hotspots is in process, or progress. So I think for next time, I'm going to try to get hotspots finished, and the dialogue tree in place, or at least started. And then after that, I will be doing inventory and items. I'm starting with the hotspots before the inventory because, you know, the hotspots are kind of the way you interact with the game. I've actually been thinking about the whole combat situation with the game, and I've don't think I want to have formal combat. You'll never run around with a weapon. But I do think I want to have adversarial stuff that you have to avoid or figure out how to stop in other senses. If you've ever played, for example, Beyond Good and Evil, think something like that, except without the stick to fall back on if you screw up the stealth aspects. Basically, you have to outmaneuver and outsmart the enemies. You don't get to just run up and punch them in the face. And if you do get to do that, it will be isolated things where it makes sense to do so in a specific way or with a specific item. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as far as how the game will play. I want it to be more actiony, but I want it to be more of a point-and-click puzzle game in its theme. Meaning, unlike a point-and-click where you use the rubber chicken on the wire and you slide across, you actually have to do something with the rubber chicken to get across the wire, and you actually have to perform it. But unlike, say, Zelda, you don't pick up a sword and run around killing moblins for 16 hours. Not to say that that isn't fun, but it's not quite what I want to do. I mean, if all I wanted to do was a Zelda clone, then I probably would have picked the isometric ones, because that would be easier. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's not a huge amount, but it is progress. I mean, I got 2.5 things checked off my list. They need tweaking, all of it will, but this is like alpha build stage. This is get the features in and working, and then worry about tweaking them later. Which is exactly where I want to be right now. Hotspots, let's see. Player can interact with the object in some way. Modular, this is the big one. So far they are. The highlight is a duplicate of the model. So it doesn't matter what it is. It will highlight like this. I will be changing the effect, obviously. I may, in the end, go with just a shader modification rather than a bubble thing. But it's just a simple call, so it's easy to change what it is. But for now, it works for letting you know whether something's in reach or not. I'm gonna stop now. See if I can get some more of this done this weekend. Yeah, that'd be awesome. If things go well, come next week I'll have these hotspots and a dialogue system completely implemented. That will be great. So, until then, Tilka out, and enjoy the webplay build. I will figure out how to put that up somewhere.